Hey everybody, welcome to this lecture. So we will discuss in this section regarding the Palo Alto Firewall antivirus profile, which is part of Content ID inspection. So let's talk about the antivirus profile. What happens is, when you log into your PA firewall, right? So when you click on the Object tab, so you can see that there are multiple security profiles on the left that you can attach to your existing security policy. So one of them is antivirus, then is anti-spyware, vulnerability protection profile, URL filtering profile, file blocking, wildfire analysis, data filtering, DOS protection, right? And also you can arrange those profiles into security profile groups. So for example, you might create multiple antivirus profile or multiple URL filtering profile, and you might be in need to arrange those individual profiles into some security profile groups. You can do that and attach that group to your existing security policy or rules, right? So we'll discuss that line by line. So first thing first, we'll talk about the antivirus profile, and always ensure that you can attach those security profile, which is part of your Content ID inspection, only to those security policy which is allowed. That means the action is allowed. So if I look into my security policy here, I have got a generic internet access policy for my inside zone, which is part of the subnet 10.1.1.0/24, and it can communicate to the outside zone anywhere or using any protocols and any applications, right? So you can see that the internet access policy is there, where it's part of the source zone as a trust zone. The LAN address is part of 10.1.1.0/24 subnet. For any user, any device, the destination zone is untrust, destination address IP is any. For any device, any application having the default port numbers, the action is allowed. But we have not attached any security profile yet, so this is an important section. So for next gen firewall features, for Content ID inspection, you can attach different types of Content ID based profiles, also called as security profiles, to your security policy. Now always ensure that you are supposed to attach the security profile only to the action which is allowed, okay, only to those rules whose action is allowed. Okay, so let's let's make some key points out of it, and then we will go ahead and test it. Okay, so okay, let's do one thing. Let's go and configure this particular antivirus profile first, and then I will give you some key points which you must remember when you work with antivirus profiles. Okay, so let's go ahead and configure it. So first and first is we will click on the objects tab. We will click on the security profile. It might be hidden, so you might have to expand this, and you find that antivirus profile will be there, and there is a default antivirus profile which is available. So you can see that the supported protocols, right? So if the user is trying to upload or download or do some sort of transactions or create some session using HTTP version 2, SMTP, IMAP, POP3, FTP, SMB, so those are my supported protocols. Ensure one thing is, if you are working with HTTPS protocol, that means in that case your SSL decryption policy has to be configured on your firewalls. Okay, so already we have done that in the previous lecture. So you can see that, click on policy, click on decryption, and I have got SSL decryption policy which is there from the previous lecture. Okay, so in that case my Palo Alto firewall will be able to decrypt any SSL packets. All right, so yeah, let's go back to the object. Let's click on antivirus. This is the default now antivirus profile which you have, which is a predefined one, and you can see that the signature which is nothing but the patterns, if it is matched against this particular profile and this protocols, then what is the signature action my default profile will take. So for, let us say, for HTTP, it is reset both client and server. For SMTP it is alert. For IMAP POP3 it is alert, and likewise for FTP and SMB it is reset for both client and server. Likewise, you have got the respective signature action for wildfire and for wildfire inline ML configurations as well. Okay, All right, and you might define some sort of signature exceptions, application exceptions for which you do not want this antivirus profile inspection to happen. Okay, so you might create a manual approach. Now the point is, you cannot edit this. So for example, this is the default one. You cannot change its name, or you cannot change any action of this. You cannot add any sort of exceptions to this. So this is the default one that you have, right? So if you want to custom or modify anything according to your requirements, you can select this particular default profile, antivirus profile, and select this clone option from the bottom. So click on this clone option, and you can click on OK, and then you can see that there is a clone profile gets created against that default one. So it's default -1, which is automatically renamed. You can click on that, and you can change that to your, let us say it is my antivirus profile. Okay, and you can enable packet capture, right? You can hold for wildfire real-time signature lookup. You can enable those features. You can add some application exemption for which you don't want antivirus inspection to happen for, so you can do that. You can also add signature exceptions, right? So if any traffic is matched and it has been found with a threat, so you can go to the monitor tab, and under the threat monitor, you can capture the threat ID of that particular traffic, and you can add that threat ID value over here, and you can add that particular threat ID to be exempted from next time going into antivirus inspection. Okay, if you want, you can do that. Likewise, you can do it for wildfire inline ML inspections as well. Okay, you can attach some sort of files which you want antivirus exemptions to happen. Okay, so let's say this is my antivirus profile. If you want, you can add some suitable descriptions to it. Say it's profile 1, something like that. Click on action, and you can go ahead and change this protocol action right now. So if you want to, let us say for HTTP/HTTP2, if you want to change that to the drop action, you can go ahead and select that drop action, right? So yeah, or if you want to add some sort of custom, if you want to add some sort of applications of your choice, you can also do that. For example, if I click on add, I can see there are several applications that I want. I can add that, right? So yeah, let's keep it default for time being, and let's click on OK. And my antivirus profile has been created right now. So what I can do is I can go to my security policy, and I can go there and attach that. So go to the policy, click on the security policy tab, and look for this profile action. It says none. Okay, you can either directly click on the profile section, and you can attach that particular profile, and you can attach antivirus profile over here. You can directly do that, or you can click on the security profile name, right? Look for the profile configurations that you have done, and under the action, you have got the action is allow, and you can see profile setting and select profiles from here. You can also select groups, as I've told you. So you might arrange multiple security profiles in a group and attach that group. Also, you can do that. So let's say I select profile now, and I select antivirus, and I select that antivirus profile which I've created. So likewise, you can also attach vulnerability protection profile, anti-spyware profile, URL filtering, file blocking, data filtering, and wildfire analysis profiles as well. You can attach, you can configure the log sessions or the logging for your security traffic. You can do log forwarding and also configure other settings as listed here. Anyway, so let's click on OK now. And yeah, let's go ahead and commit those respective changes. All right, let the commit process and let's wait for the commit to happen. Okay, so my commit took place successfully. So yeah, so now what we can do is you can go to my verification task. So I can go back to the same Windows server, and I close this particular session. Okay, I open up the browser again, let's say I go to incognito window, I go to EICAR, click on the download anti-malware test file URL. Accept the changes, scroll down to the download area and try to download that particular zip file, which is this. Okay, so might be taking a bit of time, so let's go to that Windows client PC. So I'm in the client PC right now. Okay, I'm gonna click on the EICAR. I can download this particular test file again. Okay, so let's go to the download section. Let's try to download this zip file, and it should be blocked. Okay, so your Palo Alto firewall has detected this as a threat and it is blocking it. Okay, so you might test it. So go to the Palo Alto firewall, go to monitor, go to the threat section, and you can see under logs you have got threat section. So you can see that these are the threats that has been detected, and you can see it's a EICAR test file, and you can see the traffic was from trust zone to untrust zone. This was the source address, this was the destination address, it was web browsing. The action that it took is drop what's the severity level, the file name, the URL, and you can also capture that particular threat ID from, you can just click on the magnifier window and just scroll down and you can capture this particular threat ID, right? And as I've told you, you can attach that threat ID into that signature exception. And so if you're trying to download next from this particular URL, so if this threat ID is found a match, then the file will be allowed. Okay, it will be exempted not to be scanned via any antivirus profile. All right, so yeah, so you can do a detailed in look about this particular log. All right, so I hope it is clear. Please practice the same. So let's go ahead and configure, configuration is done. So let's go ahead and write down some key points regarding the antivirus profile, so you should have in your notes. So as I've told you, the antivirus profile in Palo Alto Network Firewall is a security feature, and it is designed to detect and prevent any sort of malware threats. So antivirus profile, I can say overview. So it is designed to prevent, I should say detect and prevent malware threats such as viruses, worms, trojans, etc. okay, in network traffic. So it is part of threat prevention and uses content ID technology to scan and block malicious files in real time. Okay, so what are the key features you get? I'll just write down the short points. So first you get is signature based detection. That is one of the key important feature, so where it will use the latest antivirus signatures from Wildfire and Threat Intelligence Cloud to detect any sort of known malwares, and the signatures updates occur dynamically always, and it is used to keep the defenses always up to date. Okay, the next feature that you have is inline traffic scanning, which means it will go and scan the traffic at application layer, which is at layer 7, rather than just looking at ports or protocols of layer 4 or layer 3. And it can inspect various protocols, right? Supported various protocols, as I've told you earlier, like HTTP, HTTPS, FTP, right? You've seen that in the configuration as well, SMTP, POP3, IMAP, etc., right? Multiple protocols are supported. Third is decryption support, right? So you have got decryption support, which means it can scan encrypted traffic, that is HTTPS or SSL based traffic, and ensure that SSL decryption should be enabled. SSL decryption should be enabled to handle the SSL encrypted traffic. Okay, that's an important piece. Number 4 is customizable action. So as you have seen, there are multiple actions you can take. So the antivirus profile allows you to define different actions for malware detections. The first is default. So you have got a default action which is going to use the Palo Alto recommended settings, right? Default, which will use the Palo Alto recommended settings. You have action for alert, you have action for allow. So for alert, what happens is it will log the event, but it will allow the traffic to pass through. In case of allow, it will be permitting traffic without scanning anything. If it is drop, so it will silently drop the malicious traffic. And the other one is reset, so it will go and reset or it will terminate the session to prevent any further infection. Okay, and next point will be the best practices. So what are the best practices for configuring your antivirus profile? Okay, so make sure that you apply antivirus profile to all security policies. Ensure that make sure that all the security policy actions should be allowed. Okay, so apply, I should say AV profile, let's say, just to make it short, to all security policy, in bracket I should say action is allowed. Okay, make sure you enable antivirus on all protocols, okay, which covers HTTP, FTP, SMTP, IMAP, SMB, etc. Use wildfire analysis, okay, which means it will send any unknown file. So if the Palo Alto firewall detects some sort of unknown files during the download process from the user, so in that case it will send the unknown files to wildfire support for real-time malware analysis, right? So you can think like it is kind of SDC environment, right, where you are going to do some sort of zero-day prevention concept. So likewise, you have to take the best practice where you can enable SSL decryption, as I've told you multiple times. So allow inspection of any encrypted traffic for hidden threats. Okay, and make sure you schedule frequent antivirus updates. Okay, so ensure that new malware signatures are applied automatically. Okay, so I hope this particular points are clear to you and you understand what is antivirus profile and how to configure it. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.